Don't believe everything you hear or read about food storage is true. There's a lot of information out there, and not all of it is correct. So I'm here to help you sort through food storage fact from food storage myth. Now, myth number 1, rice will last 30 years or more. I mean, we've all heard this, right? That's why it's so great to store rice. And it is partially true. According to the Utah State University Extension, the best temperature to store grains, including rice, is 40 degrees Fahrenheit or below. However, rice stored at a constant 70 degrees Fahrenheit with oxygen absorbers will store well for up to 10 years. In cooler storage areas, rice sealed and oxygen-free containers can be stored for up to 30 years. Most of us just don't have these ideal conditions. So we're at the 70 degree Fahrenheit mark. So in that case, after 10 years, our rice might start to lose nutritional value, but yet look absolutely fine. Temperature really does matter in food storage. Just look at this USDA chart. So if your house is usually 80 degrees wherever you store your food, not 70 degrees, your rice may start losing its nutritional value after just 5 years, even if it looks completely fine. Myth number 2, my number 10 cans of freeze-dried food will last in excess of 25 years. Again, could be true, could not be true. Let's look at something that Mountain House posted. Based on our ongoing sensory and nutrition testing of actual Mountain House products in 2016 in July, we raised the shelf life on our Mountain House meals to 30 years. And we've had independent studies performed on actual 30-year-old product stored under real world conditions, which weren't always ideal, and the products that were 35 years old still taste great. Now, they didn't state at what temperatures was the actual storage kept. And did the temperature fluctuate? Was it 80 degrees, 90 degrees, or 50 degrees? So it's hard to know, but it sounds like good news for those who are storing freeze-dried food. But then look at this. The Ready Store has this to say. Freeze-dried food should be kept in storage that stays under 75 degrees. The cold does not affect the product adversely, but the heat will. And if the heat is higher than 75 degrees, you start to lose out on the guarantee of up to a 30-year shelf life. So basically, avoid hot temperatures as much as possible. So again, it may depend on the temperatures of where you store your freeze-dried food. Probably best to rotate so you don't have to worry about that. Number 3, commercially canned food lasts indefinitely. Again, somewhat true. Most canned food lasts much longer than the best buy date. The USDA came out with that, and we're told not just to throw it away because it's past that date. But again, storage conditions matter. It's best to store your canned goods at 85 degrees Fahrenheit or less. And temperatures over 100 can adversely affect your canned food. In fact, temperatures over 100 degrees are harmful to your canned goods. And that's why for canned goods that they sell in the tropics, they're specially made with heavier metal and other precautions because of the high heat in the area. Now, it also depends on what's in the can. If it's a high acid food, like this is tomatoes, then you have to worry about the can rusting, and that rust will affect taste and texture and eventually lose nutritional value. So Anything that's high acid, like tomatoes, shouldn't keep as long on your pantry shelves. It's important to realize that when canned food is old, it doesn't necessarily get poisonous or evaporate in the can, but it does change color, texture, and taste, and gradually lose nutritional value. So again, what's the best plan? Rotate, rotate, rotate. Myth number 4, just store beans and rice. You hear that everywhere, right? It is a very inexpensive way to increase your food storage. And over the short term, that is a good idea. I mean, beans are very nutritious. They're full of fiber, potassium, and magnesium, low in cholesterol. I mean, a lot of good things. Beans are good for you. But if you're thinking about long term, then just eating beans and rice is not the best idea. So here's a comparison for the beans and rice nutrition. And that's the parboiled rice, which has more nutrition added back to it. You can see there's no vitamin A, vitamin D, B3, E, or zinc, and really minimum vitamin C. So you might be at the borderline for developing scurvy. But overall, it is a good combination. So, yes, it's a good idea to store beans and rice, but I suggest variety, not just beans and rice. Add to it with other things that your family loves. And if you're interested in learning more about beans and rice and nutritional value, I have a video on that too. Quick reminder, if you're enjoying this video, please click on the like button and the subscribe button. It's much appreciated. Myth number 5, you'll need more calories in an SHTF situation. And yeah, that's sometimes true. But the opposite is also true. I mean, the recent pandemic was an SHTF situation where many of you were quarantined in your home and you were not getting strenuous exercise. Instead, it was more vertical, right? So you did not need the normal amount of calories, probably even that you ate. You needed less calories. And you weren't the only one. According to Harvard Health, many people talked about the COVID-15, referring to gaining 15 pounds during the quarantine. A study looked at 15 million patients' weight changes the year prior to the start of the pandemic, and then the weight changes for 1 year over the course of the pandemic. As it turned out, 39% of patients gained weight during the pandemic. So, ouch. You may need actually less calories depending on the SHTF situation, not the 3,000 to 5,000 sometimes promoted online for daily food storage calorie allotment. Myth number 6, store up on wheat, a lot of it. Well, that can be good advice, and you don't have to have a grinder to enjoy your wheat berries. There's a lot of recipes you can make with them. Got another video on that if you are interested. But most people store up on wheat berries so they can grind them. And for many of you, you might not have a wheat grinder. You might not have the dexterity for a manual grinder. So in that case, it might be better to store number 10 cans of LDS flour. And you save yourself the grinding process. While this canned flour only has a shelf life of 10 years, it is much more convenient in an emergency situation. So you might want to consider flour instead of storing wheat berries. Myth number 7, you need a minimum of 3 months food storage, or 6 months food storage, or 1 year food storage. You know, all those experts out there tell you what you need. And I advise the first thing to look around where you live and what are typical SHTF situations that you could find yourself in. You know, for us, it would be an ice storm or a severe snowstorm that means that we can't get out of our driveway to go to the grocery store. And this could last for 1 week, maximum of 2 weeks. And of course, during that time, we also lose power. That's the most likely scenario of where I live. But where you live, it could be different. It could be you live in a hurricane area and you might need for at least a month or longer emergency food. And then you've got to decide, what are you prepping for? Well, if you're worried about economic collapse or losing your job in the future, then extending your food storage is really a great idea. But anyway, don't let anyone tell you what you have to have for your food storage. Make your own choice. And myth number 8 kind of goes along with myth 7. Online food calculators are the best way to determine your family's food storage plan. And I think most of us are familiar with the LDS food calculator. And, this is showing, 400 pounds of grain per one person? Wow, that's a lot. And you can see the other various categories. But you have to look, and that's a nice guide, but you have to tailor it to your family's health needs and preferences. It's a little bit more work than just looking at a calculator and getting what you need. So use the online calculators as a guide, but not necessarily as gospel. Myth number 9. Hey, all I need is one of those 3-month freeze-dried food kits. Maybe that is true, but maybe it isn't. You really want to look at those kits and see what is the daily caloric value. Patriot Supply is about 1,500 calories per day. Mountain House is a little more. It's approximately 1,732 calories per day. And Emergency Essentials is 1,846 calories per day. Now, most men and some women will need at least 2,000 calories per day to maintain their weight. So these kits might be a little lacking, and you're going to need some other food supplies too. And of course, you need potable water, right? You have to have enough water to make those freeze-dried meals, or they're pretty useless. I still think it's a better idea to have freeze-dried, have dehydrated, have canned, have packaged, a variety of food in your food storage. And of course, rotate, rotate, rotate. Number 10, keep food and water in your vehicle. Well, that's very good advice. But you have to have the right food that will withstand very low temperatures or very high temperatures. I mean, to give you an idea, I've had bottled water in my vehicle in the winter and it froze and one of the bottles kind of exploded because, of course, when the ice comes, it expands. So that might not have been the best idea. And of course, you have to be careful in the summer or where you live. What if it's high heat? That can spoil food really quick. That's why I always recommend these New Millennium bars. They're made by SOS and they have up to a 5-year shelf life, even at extreme temperatures. They can withstand temps of negative 20 degrees Fahrenheit to 149 degrees Fahrenheit. And they are 400 calories each. I have the Amazon link below if you are interested in purchasing any of them. Overall, it's important to do your own research and tailor your family's food emergency supply to their preferences and their health needs. Then you'll be ready when an emergency happens. So, what do you think? Do you have any other food storage myths to add? Let's keep that conversation going in the comments section below. And I urge you to watch the next video so you don't make any of these common food storage mistakes. And I hope you subscribe and always share the knowledge.